Today, me and Dad went to Salvatore's around around 6:30 p.m. in order to watch the first half of a football game between the Bills and the Patriots that started at 8 p.m. I think around 9 p.m. ish, Dad ordered this steak shaved sub. I remember picking out black olives. Picking out meaning I threw those toppings in. I picked those toppings. Black olives, diced onions, and other things. I ended up feeling tired toward the end of around the time of the second quarter because I had 4 pieces of Mama Tony's plate pizza, which was a combination of a garbage plate and a pizza. As such, it was a pizza with mac salad, home fries, and I think meat sauce on it. I worked on polishing some things on the 99th Dan Hamming episode. With the most recent thing I was working on being an attempt to adjust the light levels of a convenience store window with posters prop to try to get it to match better. In particular, it's intended to make the scene where Michael kicks in a window in order to set off the store alarms to get help for Kyle, the Uber driver, more consistent. I managed to squeeze that work in right before Dad and I left for the football game. Last I heard, around halftime, it was 11 for the Patriots and 9 for the Bills. At one point, the Bills fumbled, giving it to the Patriots, who proceeded to, oh yeah, I put broccoli. Who proceeded to, one of their players had one of this incredible 64-yard touchdowns. Basically, one of those rare moments where a player is able to just run all the way for a touchdown after blowing through the defense. Some of the work I did earlier also involved some final edits to resolve the shades problem. Basically, some edits I initially decided against because in the case of, I think her name was Kate, she's Michael's wife. At one point, Dan Hamming was in front of her. So it was a kind of peach color was against, and I initially thought the dark red. Would be better, would be best. Same for when Dan Hamming was in front of a Styrofoam drawing prop character who wore I believe it was a yellow sweater to that effect. But I ended up making the edits because I figured I had some extra time. I saved this Nutter Butter for my dad. And he came home with it from work, which was the same time he gave me this kombucha. I think it was around 5:30 p.m., roughly. Though I barely drank any of it. Before we left for the football game. And we both opted to put our kombucha in the fridge. I also got some spinach in the wrap. While doing the polishing, I watched a movie called Fat Fiction, which essentially promotes a low-carb diet. So, Dad opted to turn a sub into a wrap, so I figured I would get the healthier wheat wrap. Since I figure if I'm going to be I figured that if I was going to be having any carbs at all, it may as well be of the healthiest possible variety. I asked which wrap was healthier, and the wheat wrap was healthier than the plain one. Excuse me. We were treated pretty well. At Salvatore's. I also got tomatoes. For this wrap. Dad got an order of fried dough along with this wrap. I had a total of 2 pieces. Tried out sauce that he called cotton candy sauce, but with a name like that, I expected it to taste like honey or something sweet, and technically it did taste sweet, but it tasted like sweet and sour sauce to me. It honestly made me think I was tasting it differently from my dad. I'm not sure I was, though, because I'm pretty sure my experience of the plate pizza was the same as my dad, and we had an equal number of pieces, but Dad had a tendency to give me the bigger pieces. And aside from that, it was pretty filling pizza, so it was somewhat full by the time I finished off my last fourth piece. Which was ultimately a major factor in why I felt tired around the second quarter of the football game. I'm currently not aware of who won the game. Currently trying to look up who won the game. Apparently the Patriots won the game with both teams only scoring the equivalent of a field goal for the remainder of the whole game. The Bills got a field goal in the third quarter, and the Patriots got a field goal in the fourth quarter. So, we really didn't miss much by leaving around halftime. Excuse me. This stuff has a bit of a tendency to make me burp at times. But it tastes pretty good. And it's good for you. The fried dough, it wasn't exactly as the same as you would get at the fair, but it was still enjoyable. It's pretty rare to get diamonds from the Goddess of Wishes statue. Usually you'll only get a small amount of gems or elixir. I think it's 600, something like that. A small amount of supplies or gold. Or if you're lucky, 3 knowledge points, but if you're even more lucky, you'll get 35 diamonds. Excuse me. And these are my current resources. And this is how my city in Elvenar currently looks like. I replaced the old Watchful Owl with this because the Watchful Owl was greatly outdated. I hear space becomes quite a premium later on in this game, so I figured I better make careful use of whatever space I do have. Since as the game goes on, there is a tendency for having to dedicate more space towards settlements and towards staple buildings such as the barracks. Your workshops and your residences.